I've had a lot of requests to talk about Matt Brassard, and this is something that really did interest me at first, because Matt Brassard is just, to me, he's always just been the guy that the Canucks got in the 7th round in 2017. But throughout 2017-18, there have been a lot of people jumping on the hype train for Brassard, so I thought I'd take a look here and just go over what exactly is the defined level of value here with this player, and what can we expect moving forward. Brassard was drafted at the end of the 2017 NHL entry draft, 188th overall by the Canucks in the 7th round. The thing is though, this was actually Brassard's draft plus 1 year. He was born August 8, 1998, which means that under the rules of guys being drafted and how old they're allowed to be, he was eligible for the 2016 NHL entry draft, but he wasn't selected. The Vancouver Canucks were apparently scouting him in his draft year, but seeing as in 2015-16 with the Barrie Colts, the right-handed defender only put up 4 points in 28 games, he went undrafted for a reason. But then in 2017, he played half of his season with the Barrie Colts and half with the Oshawa Generals. He had a total of 32 points shared between the two teams, and in just over 60 total games played. This performance was enough for the Vancouver Canucks to finally say, what the heck, he just played his draft plus 1, he's still available, let's take him with a 7th round pick. And now in his draft plus 2 year, playing for the Oshawa Generals yet again, playing on mostly the top pairing, sometimes in the top 4 positions, with the A on his sweater he grabbed himself 51 points and 16 goals in 67 total games played. And now, Vancouver Canucks fans are looking at this and they're like, hey, we have a guy in our system who was in the top 5 for OHL defenseman goals, and a guy who was 7th in total OHL defenseman points. That's pretty good. And now there's a slowly arising connotation here that's being brought up that's labeling Matt Brassard as a 7th round steal at this point. Now don't get me wrong, he's no Artyom Manukyan, he's no Petrus Palmu, but he is a guy who in the OHL was able to put up a lot of points as a right-handed defenseman. He's a guy who a small minority of people are starting to slowly start labeling as an underrated 7th round pick. But what exactly should we expect here with Brassard as he goes into his 4th year in the OHL? Brassard is a guy who, to me, should be putting up numbers like he has. He should be in a position where he's putting up 50 points in 60 games played. And the reason for that is because he really is just in a position where he needs to showcase his worth. He was drafted in the 7th round in his draft plus 1 year for a reason. And he's been showing off to people that he is finding ways to improve, and with this, it's obvious to see that he's doing his best to showcase to everybody, hey, it wasn't a bad choice to draft me. But assuming that Brassard is the guy who will make the NHL one day after being drafted in his draft plus 1 year in the 7th round, what should we expect in his 4th OHL year? Well, I think he absolutely just needs to dominate. We've seen guys who the Vancouver Canucks have drafted and who have found ways to showcase themselves on higher levels right before transitioning to a full professional game. The best example that comes to mind immediately for me is Cole Castles. We all remember, right before he went to the Utica Comets, he was the monster shutdown two-way center on the Oshawa Generals, the guy who shut down McDavid. He was a total monster. And this is what really got everybody thinking, okay, we might have something really special with this 3rd round pick. And I think Brassard needs to go on the same kind of tear if he wants to be labeled as a prospect, a legit prospect going forward. Because he did have a great draft plus 2 year, where he was one of the better OHL defensemen in the entire league. That's true. But he played this season as a double overager. And I think that in order to label yourself as a prospect that is worth the hype and is worth the discussion, you need to be putting up numbers like that. So going into his draft plus 3 year, he needs to absolutely dominate if he even wants to consider being a long-term offensive defenseman project for the Vancouver Canucks. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Plus, and this is All Gaming, and bye.